Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a lap guide for Fuji International Speedway with the Dodge Viper. Let's get this started. Look for the 150 meter sign on the left as you'll start to brake just as you pass it. Brake as much as you can in a straight line, then slowly start to ease off of the brakes as you turn in. You want to be very gentle with accelerating your way out, that way the car doesn't start to initiate any oversteer. Then bring yourself to the right side of the track. Look for this little orange marker in between the 100 and the 50 meter mark as you want to brake before you pass it. Brake hard for a moment, start to ease off of the brakes, and be very gentle when starting to apply the throttle. Then when you pass this path that is on the right, all you want to do is just ease off of the throttle, don't go too wide out, do lots of throttle control, and accelerate when you reach the second path on the right. Bring yourself to the right and brake well before you reach the 50 meter sign. Brake hard for a short moment, then start to ease off the brakes as you turn in. Be very gentle when accelerating your way out, that way the car doesn't want to spin out. Bring yourself to the left, and as you go under this Dunlop sign, which also coincides with the start of a new sector, you want to start to brake. So brake hard for a short while, take advantage of the red and white curves without getting too much onto the green, then control your acceleration as you make your way out. Then look for this thin white line that is on the left as you want to brake just before you reach it. You will use a little bit of braking, just let the car rotate around this turn before you accelerate. Then when the curb on the left ends, you want to use some braking and some throttle at the same time. This is to maintain stability on the car. Just try to bring yourself all the way into the apex on the left, then carefully accelerate. Finally, you want to brake pretty early for this turn. Brake well before you reach the thin white line on the left. This is just like the last turn, except you won't be using the braking and throttle at the same time. Go for a late apex, fully accelerate, and you are good to go. We'll go ahead and finish this lap, and then we'll talk about the strategies. For this race, racing medium and hard tires are required to be used in this race, so you want to make sure that you use both of those tire compounds so you don't get a 20-second penalty at the end of the race. So because you have two tire requirements, you're going to need to make at least one pit stop. So for this section of the video, we'll quickly touch upon the 1 and the 2 stop and see which strategy is better. So this clip right here is the 1 stop strategy. This one is pretty straightforward. All you have to do is just go 7 to 8 laps with the racing medium tires, then change on over to the racing hard tires. And with the racing hard tires, you'll be using them for 4 to 5 laps. It all depends on how long you use the medium tires for. If you are starting in the back, you can start on the racing hard tires, go 4 to 5 laps with them, then change on over to the racing medium tires. That way you can get the slower tire compound out of the way from the start, and you'll have the fastest tire compound for the rest of the race, whereas those in the middle or front of the pack are more likely going to do the medium into hards, so you'll be able to catch up to them a little bit easier. So with this 1 stop strategy, once again this is pretty straightforward. And with the racing hard tires, you're going to need to give yourself a bit of patience with them, especially on your outlap, as the tires are going to be a little cold, so you're not going to have all the grip that you need to maximize their potential. And depending in the car that you're at, you just want to be a little bit careful, as some cars do not react well when they're on the racing hard tires. Some examples are the Lamborghini Huracan and the Nissan GT-R. They don't react too well with the racing hard tires, so they're going to be a bit of a sketchy ride. But luckily with the Dodge Viper, it's going to be a bit of an easier time, since this car seems to react a bit better on the racing medium and hard tires. So at the end, we're going to be getting a 20 minutes and 3 second result from this 1 stop race. So we're going to go ahead and see whether the 2 stop can be pretty close or even do better than the 1 stop. And the short, sweet answer to that is going to be no, not really. So you are a couple seconds slower in the 2-stop compared to the 1-stop. And yes, you can do a total of 11 laps on the racing medium tires, which leaves you to do only 1 lap on the racing hard tires, but the additional time spent at the pit stop is going to end up killing that momentum. That, and you do risk pitting out into traffic on one of those 2 pit stops, especially if everyone in your lobby is going to be doing the 1-stop. So if you end up pitting out into traffic, you're going to have to try to battle your way through them to try to get back to the position you were originally at, and that's going to end up hurting your own overall pace. So if there's someone that was ahead of you before you went into the pit stop, it's going to open up an opportunity for them to get away from you. So at the end of the day, it seems like that the 1-stop is better than the 2-stop. When it comes to fuel, it is set at ×2, so you don't have to worry about that. And with the truck itself, it is set at Fuji. You have a long main straight, so you can have a good opportunity to perform overtake at the main straight. Just make sure you slow down a little bit early if you do end up under someone's slipstream. There is another opportunity to overtake someone. It's going to be at this part over here. You want to try to get the overtake done as soon as you can before you have to brake for the hairpin. And just try to be a little careful when you go through this 3rd sector, especially if you're on a car that doesn't react well to the racing hard tires, as the elevation changes and all these turns can make the cars want to start to spin out. And there are quite a few cars that can do pretty well here, the Viper being one of them. The Huracan is also good here, the RE LMS, the Nissan GTR. So those are just a couple of the cars that do pretty well over here. So there's going to be a good variety of cars that you can choose from to just have some fun in this race. But that is all for this guide. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.